As Trump, Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance attack the judiciary, federal judges are saying the Supreme Court is not doing enough to stand up for them and against Trump. This is new reporting from NBC News. They spoke to 12 federal judges across the country, evidently those that were appointed by Democrats and Republicans in different states, including judges appointed by Trump. And 10 of those 12 judges called out the Supreme Court for not having, quote, their backs. My name is Dina Doll with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's break this down. Now, if you've been following the unprecedented show that I do with Michael Popak on the Legal AF channel, you know the Supreme Court, this is why they called it unprecedented, because they have just been taking decision after decision, such as overturning Dobbs, that really has garnered legitimate criticism from the American public that they are not standing up for our civil freedoms, for civic freedoms, and not doing enough to stand up against Trump, both with his granting him absolute immunity with his Article 2 presidential powers and his criminal case, but also during this second term for allowing him so many times to take actions that were clear overreach of his executive power. They haven't done this, though, in any kind of thorough way. They haven't done it because a case has gone before them and they've had oral arguments and they've made decisions. They've done it through the shadow docket, and they've done it in a way that was temporary. But according to these federal judges, doing it that way has harmed them. These judges are saying that they are getting the most contentious cases. I mean, let's be frank here. These poor judges have a president who's out of control, completely out of control, trying to take action against all these federal laws, really trying to remake what the presidency is. These judges have to deal with existing law. Sure, the Supreme Court can decide, as they do, on a dime, that the law just isn't what the law is, right? Let's say. But these lower court judges have to apply the current law. And so they have these really contentious cases where Trump tries to, stop federal funding there and fire a FTC commission here. And they correctly apply the law. Of course, we've seen Trump lose many times already with the federal courts because his actions are so lawless. And these judges put together meticulous opinions. They are careful. They know that they are dealing with a case that will eventually get to the Supreme Court. So they put together these meticulous briefs that we've reported on so many times here in MeidasTouch and Legal AF about why Trump's action is unlawful. And then Trump gets it to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, quite a few times, has basically reversed the order, the lower court's order, while the case proceeds. So they haven't decided, let's say, the substance of the case. They haven't said that legally Trump is allowed to cancel that funding. They have just said that during the case being pended, he's allowed to cut that funding. But they give absolutely no reason why. It could be because of a technical procedural argument. It could be because it should be in a different court. As we saw Justice Amy Coney Barrett actually point out in it concurring. But very rarely have we ever seen any explanation. And because of that, the judges are saying, and one particular judge says, because of them, you have this sequence of events. You have the lower court judge getting this contentious case, or an appellate court judge. They don't make a difference. They're just saying federal judges getting this contentious case, doing a decision. And then after they do a decision or issue a decision that Trump doesn't like, you have Trump and Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance going on air, attacking them, getting violent threats against these judges, calling them, all sorts of names, trying to degrade this co-equal branch of government. And then you have the Supreme Court issuing an order siding with Trump without rebuking him for the rhetoric or explaining that the lower court judge may be right, but for some reason, just right now, they can't side to him. And so one of the judges was quoted as saying by NBC that, quote, "It's almost like the Supreme Court is saying it is a judicial coup, because when they give these orders without any explanation in the shadow docket, after Trump and JD Vance go out there and saying that these judges are exercising some power they're not allowed to have, it is as if they are reinforcing it. And this judge are saying they are getting threats, and the Supreme Court and Chief Justice Roberts are not standing up for them. They do not have their back in this moment. Another judge was quoted as saying, certainly, there is a strong sense in the judiciary among the judges ruling on these cases that the court is leaving them out to dry, end quote. Now, let's just talk for a moment how unusual this is. Federal judges, for them to speak even anonymously in this time, and we have Trump, huge companies, CBS News, social media companies, bending the knee, doing Trump's bidding, Columbia University, law firms, all bending the knee, having these judges being willing to speak out even anonymously and criticize essentially their bosses at this time shows kind of the courage and the seriousness of the situation. We don't see this. We have not seen this, but they are ringing this alarm that you need to have our backs. We are dealing with the consequences, and this is going to be harmful. One of the judges told NBC News that they are being, quote, thrown under the bus. And another said that, quote, someone is going to die. This is coming from a federal government civil servant. People here trying to apply the law as the Supreme Court has set forth and not being supported and backed despite getting violent threats. So Supreme Court Chief Justice Roberts, let's hope he's listening. Justice Kavanaugh has said he follows podcasts. He follows the news about the Supreme Court. Let's hope he's listening. Unfortunately, Justice Amy Coney Barrett spoke out after this reporting and wasn't moved. She spoke at a conference hosted by Barry Weiss, the right-wing commentator, and she said that, quote, this is a dance we've seen before, and I think the Constitution is alive and well, end quote. And in addition to this anonymous reporting, these judges having the bravery to speak out and say, you need to do more, Supreme Court, we are also seeing judges in their opinions again and again giving scathing opinions. We just saw the judge in D.C. say, as of today, September 4th, the Constitution is alive and well, regarding Trump's federalizing of the troops there in D.C. and kind of unlawfully putting people in jail despite evidence. The fact is federal judges don't think that the Constitution is alive and well, Justice Amy Coney Barrett. If you're listening to the judges who have their feet on the ground, who are seeing these cases, they're seeing the facts and the law, they are alarmed. They're alarmed for the people that are in front of them, who are being put in jail despite having enough evidence to even surmount a motion to dismiss, which is like the bare minimum. We're not talking about getting acquitted after a trial. We're talking about enough evidence to merely survive a motion to dismiss. These judges are seeing the facts and law, and they are alarmed about our democracy and Constitution. And they see the Supreme Court not being alarmed enough. Amy Coney Barrett not seeming to get the message. Let's hope perhaps these judges continue to speak out and the public continue to speak out. We here at MeidasTouch will continue to speak out. So perhaps some of them, Chief Justice Roberts, who cares so much evidently about the legacy of the court, will do something to step in, because people are starting to lose faith. Many of us already have, but now even some judges who would always care about the credibility and the authority of the Supreme Court being alarmed and calling them out. Be sure to free subscribe if you haven't already so you can get updates on this and many other important issues to come.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.